We are experiencing the end of the current monetary system. The dollar is rapidly losing its usefulness as the world's reserve currency. US dollars have become politicized in a system of control, plagued by too many sanctions, too many restrictions, too much friction, burdensome KYC requirements, and out-of-control devaluation through inflation caused by out-of-control money printing. So at this point, the US dollar for now is a way most people are still denominating values of goods and services, and it's also merely a means of accounting, which should be easy and practical, but it's cumbersome and inefficient, which can be replaced with better technological alternatives. At the end of the day, what truly matters are goods and services. Everything else, like US dollars and other fiat currencies, backed by nothing but arbitrary decrees by governments, forcing its citizens to use it as legal tender for transactions in their countries, is just a means of accounting or medium of exchange. So here's an interesting quote we need to ponder and consider. There are decades when nothing happens, and there are weeks when decades happen. Now, with instantaneous means of global communication with the internet, spreading awareness of how the entire traditional global financial system is basically a big Ponzi scheme, and with the recent introduction of AI, or artificial intelligence, it seems that decades are happening in mere days. We are witnessing growth rates never seen before in human history. Up until recently, we were used to linear growth patterns that took centuries or decades to unfold. Now we are experiencing exponential growth rates, allowing for decades worth of innovation, progress, and changes to occur in just a few weeks. And this rapid transformation has a profound impact on the financial world. Take the Bitcoin network, for example. It cannot sanction anybody, seize or freeze funds, or impose restrictions. There is no separation of value, storage, and transference of value like what's required to use the US dollar, because with traditional fiat currencies like the US dollar, we have to pay fees to our banks to store it. We have to pay fees to our credit card companies and other companies like PayPal and Venmo to use it, all while the Federal Reserve devalues it by printing more of it, essentially stealing our precious finite resource that we trade it for, time. It's a criminal system, and it's an inefficient system, because all these banks and other financial institutions do is literally move numbers around a database. Why are we forced to pay them to use our money? And even when we pay them to store it, they aren't storing it. They are leveraging it, lending it out, putting it at risk in exchange for yield, all without our permission. When we deposit our US dollars into banks, we are unknowingly giving them an unsecured loan and paying them for it. Here's an analogy of what's actually happening to help illustrate just how much of a racket traditional banking is. Imagine you valet your car at a nice restaurant, and after dinner, when you get your car back, you find out the valet company rented your car, your property, to an Uber driver without your consent and kept all the profit, while unknowingly you assumed all the risk. What if the Uber driver had crashed your car and you have to foot all the losses? Well, that's exactly what happens when we deposit our hard-earned money into banks. They lend it out to others without our consent and keep all the profits while we assume all the risk. And it's perfectly legal in the United States financial system. That and inflation are just a few of the many types of legalized theft that has become the norm in banking practices. So why is all this allowed? Why does this current monetary system have so much control over the money we earn by creating value in the world, trading our precious, limited resources like time and energy? And why do we all think this is normal? Well, until now, this is all we've known and have been conditioned to think is normal. This is why it's essential that we continue to spread awareness, share information like this, and spark conversations with friends, family, and everyone who will listen at this point. In the United States especially, the government and big businesses want us fighting amongst each other over gender, political affiliations, and other topics that pale in comparison to the significance of the crimes the global financial system has been committing over the past century. The current system is a scam benefiting a few at the top who distract us from the fact that these so-called public servants or politicians receive more than a decade's worth of their salaries every year from big businesses, from insider trading, and from instituting policies that benefit them. Fortunately, the tides are changing, and we are in the midst of a perfect storm for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies at large. Those in power are aware of this shift and are starting to rage against it. This week, Elizabeth Warren has declared war on crypto, with the Massachusetts senator touting building an anti-crypto army in a new campaign ad. Hello, I'm Crypto Casey, and in this video, we are going to explore how the Federal Reserve is enslaving all of us through legalized counterfeiting, potential technological changes on the horizon that can benefit us over the few in power, and some ideas about how we can shake up the most important election in modern history, the US 2024 presidential and congressional elections. Let's hit it. Please check out our sponsors CoinLedger, iTrust Capital, and Ledger. Start getting your crypto taxes sorted out with CoinLedger's cryptocurrency and NFT tax software that will save you time and help maximize your refund. Invest in and trade cryptocurrencies tax-free with an individual retirement account or IRA with iTrust Capital. And make sure you are taking complete control and ownership of all your digital assets and cryptocurrencies by using secure, cold storage hardware wallets like Ledger devices. So make sure to scroll down and use the links below to access the correct and official sites, as well as redeem any special offers they have for us. A sad and unfortunate time in human history has been repeating itself over the past few decades. In ancient Western Africa, agri beads, small decorative glass beads, were used as money. These beads were scarce and highly valued by locals, and when European explorers arrived in the 16th century, they realized they could mass-produce counterfeit agri beads using their advanced glass-making technology. So, they started trading these fake beads for goods and services from these African regions, effectively robbing Africans of their wealth and resources over time, leading to impoverishment and the eventual enslavement of African people. The Europeans' counterfeit beads, later known as slave beads, played a significant role in the transatlantic slave trade. Very sad. So one of the most important properties of an asset's ability to maintain its value is that it is difficult or impossible to replicate or produce, and it has a fixed or relatively fixed supply. This is why gold has stood the test of time over the years, as it's hard to make more of as it has a relatively fixed supply, and that not all of it has been mined yet, and there is the possibility of mining more of it from space via asteroids, which would increase the supply. And today, we can draw parallels between the historical event with the counterfeiting of African agri-beads and the actions of the central banks, like the US Federal Reserve, which creates more money at near zero cost whenever they want and distribute it unfairly to big bankers, bureaucrats, and big businesses. This privilege allows them to confiscate wealth from all users of their currency at will, all of us. So central banks are modern-day counterfeiters who are stealing human labor and our precious limited resource, time, wielding the same power as Europeans who exploited the African people with counterfeit agri-beads. It's estimated that the use of counterfeit agri-beads led to the direct theft of 12.5 million human lives between 1501 and 1806. And if we quantify this in terms of labor hours stolen, the total amounts to over 2.5 trillion hours, or 6.8 billion hours stolen per year for 365 years. Crazy. Active and deliberate devaluation of the US dollar and its inequitable distribution of it throughout our society is turning our economic democracy into a dictatorship and our freedom into tyranny. Lame. So what can we do about it? How can we preserve our wealth while the government and Federal Reserve enslave us, steal our time, and steal our purchasing power over time? Well, fortunately, with the development of new technology and widespread adoption of personal computers and mobile devices, retail investing has evolved in recent years. In the past, investing in the stock market was more difficult and required us to use third parties like financial advisors to gain access. Now with platforms like eToro and Robinhood, do-it-yourself or DIY stock market investing options are available to us. And similar developments have occurred in other sectors. Once it was impossible for average investors to diversify into fine art, but now with Masterworks, these obstacles have been removed. And using the link below, we can skip the waitlist and start diversifying directly into art today. With cryptocurrencies, a few years back, we needed to be pretty technologically savvy to get into Bitcoin. And now, crypto exchanges like Coinbase make it easy for retail investors to enter the space. So what's next? Well, with recent bank failures, everyone has been waking up to the fact that banks are an unnecessary scam for the most part. So next, we have DIY or do-it-yourself banking around the corner. Because with Bitcoin and growing cryptocurrency adoption, we will no longer need or be forced to use institutions like JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, American Express, and PayPal to merely move numbers around on a database and secure our money for fees, which they don't. They lend it out while we take on all the risk. This situation has persisted because there hasn't been an alternative until now, which unfortunately many of us are still accustomed to. That's why it's our duty to educate others and spread awareness about these uncomfortable truths. Banks and traditional financial institutions do not create value or productivity. All they do is take a cut from the productivity of countries, businesses, and citizens, us. However, like I said, the tide is turning as education and awareness are starting to spread exponentially instead of linearly, like we've been accustomed to over the past decades and even centuries. So it is crucial, especially in the United States, that we prepare and get politically active now for the extremely important upcoming 2024 election. With exponential growth in financial technology, Bitcoin, crypto, and AI, we cannot tolerate a disproportionate number of corrupt individuals from the baby boomer generation in Congress, who understand far less about current technology and have fewer incentives to care about the long-term future of our country. We need to inspire younger people with influence and awareness to start political campaigns and run against incumbents who will continue to drive our country off of a cliff, all while padding their pockets with their corporate cronies' money and receiving freshly printed funds from the central bank, the Federal Reserve. In a new open neutral financial system like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, banks will be replaced by businesses that provide value-added services, such as user interface options, insurance for lost funds or wallet keys, custody services for those who prefer not to self-custody, escrow services, apps that cover transaction fees to incentivize user growth, yield options where we can actually consciously choose to take on some risk and lend out our funds to others, and much more. This shift will create more jobs, businesses, and innovation than the current system that takes fees for moving numbers and decimals around in a database while gambling with our money. For now, most of us are forced to use banks. However, with the fast approaching alternative the government will try to force upon us soon, called the FedNow system, is a direct link or account between people like us and the Federal Reserve, where we will have no control over our money due to the nature of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. So if you are unfamiliar with CBDCs and their potential perils, check out this beginner's guide by clicking on the link above. What's crazy is another aspect of this perfect storm for Bitcoin is we are entering an era where first world countries like the United States, governments are taking over banks while simultaneously being at risk of insolvency. Nobody wants to buy our debt or treasury bonds anymore. Nobody wants to use US dollars anymore. The United States moved all of our value production overseas, so we are hardly producing and exporting a substantial amount of resources or value, all while mostly importing goods and services we need. Countries are switching to US dollar alternatives at an unprecedented pace, and we need to import food, energy, and other important commodities from other countries that don't want to transact in US dollars. So what's going to happen? All the Federal Reserve can do is continue to print US dollars into oblivion, and they want to devalue our currency so it inflates all the debt they've racked up away. We all must remember, all fiat currencies eventually go to zero, which is why it's more important than ever to get curious and knowledgeable about Bitcoin. As Bitcoin supply continues to become more fixed, and demand continues to increase, the price of Bitcoin will blow minds. And as our crypto investments increase in value over time, any profits we take have an effect on our taxes throughout the year. So it's important to consult with an accountant or CPA that is an expert in cryptocurrency taxes, as well as use crypto-specific tax management software like CoinLedger. Managing crypto taxes can be a daunting task, so let's quickly go over how CoinLedger can simplify our tax season. First, scroll down and use the link below to sign up for a free CoinLedger account. With just a few clicks, you can import your wallets and exchange transactions, making it easy to get started. Next, CoinLedger will automatically classify our transactions using a historical pricing engine that keeps track of our assets' cost basis as they move between wallets, ensuring more accurate reporting. And we or our accountants can also manually adjust individual transactions if needed. The platform makes it easy to collaborate with our tax professionals, so we can invite them to our account and they can file our tax return on our behalf. Before filing our tax reports, CoinLedger lets us view our capital gains and income for free, giving us a clearer picture of our tax situation for the season. The platform also supports NFT trades, where we can simply enter our wallet addresses, and CoinLedger will pull all of our NFT transactions from the blockchain. And once we are ready to file, we download our comprehensive tax report with just one click and export it to our favorite tax platform like TurboTax, H&R Block, TaxSlayer, and more. Also, if you're looking for an accountant or CPA in the US who is a reputable expert in cryptocurrency taxes, you can scroll down and use the link below to schedule a free consultation with my CPA, Lorenzo Abateo, who has saved me tons of money and tax liabilities over the year. So be sure to scroll down and use the links below to access the correct and official sites to get your crypto taxes sorted today. Awesome. If you would like to finally have that Eureka moment about what Bitcoin is and why it's one of the most important inventions of modern times, check out this video. If you would finally like to have that Eureka moment about how cryptocurrency wallets, seed phrases, and private keys work, check out this video. And to get your crypto taxes sorted out today with CoinLedger, click on this link on the screen. Like and subscribe for more. Be safe out there.